What movie hit you the hardest, emotionally speaking? Life is beautiful. The kid's dad gets him to believe the concentration camp is just a game and everyone is in on it like it's a special adventure to protect him from the horrors they faced. We watched that movie in 8th grade when we had nothing to do in math at the end of the year. You ran out of math? They started with 10 math, then they minus 10 math. You do the math. I'm afraid I can't. My school had run out of math by the time I got there, so I never learned. The ending of Coco had my wife bawling like crazy because her grandmother has Alzheimer's. I teared up when the flashback shows Hector singing Remember Me to toddler Coco and she's reaching up to his face singing with him. But absolutely sobbed when Miguel then sang it to her. The correlation back to Hector, the breaks in his voice, the animation of her face, how it goes from the confused, stuck in mud kind of face to clearing up and her eyes brightening and being herself for even a moment. And then her asking her daughter what's wrong and her crying and saying nothing mama. Duck I ugly cry through that. That was absolutely beautiful. I comment this each time but I lost my granddad to dementia and in her first scene, I realized Coco had dementia and I knew there would be a moment I would cry. I literally sobbed on my bed for 10 minutes after that scene because of how she had the moment of recognition and memory. I couldn't stop crying, it still gets me now. Me, too. Especially when she calls him by the wrong name. My grandfather would do that to me, call me by his daughter's name, but you just smile and go along with it, because even if it's the wrong name, at least they know that you're a person that they loved. The Fox and the Hound, when Widow Tweed leaves Todd in the forest to keep him from getting shot by Slade. Goodbye may seem forever, farewell is like the end. But in my heart's the memory, and there you'll always be. Gets me every time. Frown. When I watched Bridge to Terabithia I thought this is not so bad, what is everyone talking about? Pretty wholesome overall and then it happened and I cried like a baby. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind has never not hit me hard. I only saw it once and never again. I watched a test screening before it came out. My GF of 4 years broke up with me a few days before. I watched it right after my breakup for some reason I can't even begin to comprehend. Nevertheless I was in total shock for as long as I was thinking about the movie. I actually make a point to watch it after breakups. It helps trigger the flow of emotions and kinda nosedives me to rock bottom to help move on faster. What Dreams May Come leaves me a sobbing mess through the whole movie. Edit, wow. I've never had this kind of response to one of my comments before. Thanks for the silver, friends. Also, I never got the impression this movie resonated with many people, so I'm thrilled to know that we've all sobbed hysterically with snot running down our nose and barely able to breath, together. The Pianist. After I finished the movie, it just dawned on me that this could really happen to anyone. We take our periods of peace for granted, as one day we might be put in a similar situation where we lose everything, and that really ducked with me hard. The scene where he plays the piano, but actually not playing, just air fingering the keys, made me so sad. Castaway. You're the love of my life. Helen Hunt was on screen for what felt like only about 30 minutes in the movie, but her portrayal of a woman who lost someone so important but somehow learned to love again, then to lose them again, was a gut punch. I loved everything about Tom Hanks' acting in this movie, but it was Helen Hunt who made it truly memorable for me. Man, that movie ducked me up. His sole purpose of surviving and hope was to be back with her. Finds out she remarried and was able to let her go after all that he went through. I'm so sad that I don't have Kelly. But I'm so grateful that she was with me on that island. And I know what I have to do now. I gotta keep breathing. Because tomorrow the sun will rise. Who knows what the tide could bring? The Land Before Time. When I first saw it as a kid, it was the first time that I realized that my parents could die. That thought had never even really occurred to me at that point. Even now as an adult, that scene where he thinks he sees her but it's just his shadow and the narrator says, "Then Littlefoot knew for certain he was alone," still gets to me. When the little bird dinosaur offers him a cherry and he just turns away makes my heart hurt. Watched this movie as a child and that scene was the first time I remember crying during a movie. I remember the thing that made me get emotional was that he was offering up his own food to someone else who needed it more. Grave of the Fireflies. I watched it with my friend back in the early 90s. My sister happened to stop by near the end. We were both ugly crying. She was like, Are you okay? What's going on? It was hard to explain. I took my kids to see it during a Ghibli fest last year, and I could hardly drive home afterwards. We were all sobbing. I always tell this story about this movie. I've seen it a few times and it's devastating. But I showed it to my dad and he just nodded and said that was good. Completely dry-eyed. The next day when he saw me in the morning he told me he couldn't sleep well because he couldn't stop thinking about the movie. Why'd it have to be so sad? The Green Mile. Please boss, don't put that thing over my face, don't put me in the dark. I's afraid of the dark. This line destroyed me. For me that was the final rip of the band-aid that kept me together in that scene. Both for coffee and also seeing that Michael Clarke Duncan can act the shit out of a character like that. Lost him too soon. It's not that bad and kind of basic, but I broke down during Titanic when the mother was telling her children bedtime stories when she realized she couldn't save them when the ship began flooding. That scene and the elderly couple clinging to one another frown. Based on Isidore and Ida Strauss. Earl he refused a seat on a lifeboat, and she refused to go without him. So they stayed on the ship and died together. The scene of them lying on their bed holding each other as freezing water flooded into their cabin is haunting. Ida's words kill me, man, we have lived together for many years. Where you go, I go. She then gave her coat to her maid and her maid boarded the lifeboat. According to Wikipedia, Isidore and Ida were last seen standing arm in arm on the deck. That shot always wrecked me. The Iron Giant. One word, Superman. You stay. I go. No following. Little Miss Sunshine, when the brother finds out he is colorblind, I broke into tears. That got me hard too, but I love that not a single person in this film realizes their dream, indeed they are devastated, yet you finish happy. Such a great film. No, one person does. The mom gets a happy, functional, though dysfunctional, family. Schindler's List. The end just keeps on socking you in the gut. When they make him that ring. Oh, I'm done. I don't think I can watch it again. For me, it's what he says right after they give him the ring, stern Oscar, there are 1,200 people who are alive because of you. Look at them. Schindler, if I'd made more money, I threw away so much money, you have no idea. If I'd just, Stern, there will be generations because of what you did. Schindler, I didn't do enough. Stern, you did so much. Schindler, this car. Goeth would have bought this car. Why did I keep the car? 10 people, right there, 10 more I could have got. This pin, 2 people. This is gold. 2 more people. He would have given me 2 for it. At least 1. He would have given me 1. 1 more. 1 more person. A person, Stern. For this. 1 more. I could have gotten 1 more person. He didn't. Up. You think it's going to be a fun, cute movie. Then they hit you with all of that in the first 5 minutes. I was such a mess in the cinema at that. My wife and I had recently given up trying for kids, and she had also had a bunch of health issues. Most of the movie was just too close to home. I'm so sorry, buddy. House of Sand and Fog, Grave of the Fireflies, are S-tier kicks in the dick. I was looking for Grave of the Fireflies. A lot of movies have made me cry, not no other movie made me feel so much. I was so sad, angry, and frustrated with that movie. The best way I've heard it put, and it's very much true for me, is this: it's the best movie I'll never watch again. Homeward Bound. The scene with the old Golden never fails to make me feel pain. The Rugrats Movie. The scene where Chucky watches everyone dance with their mother and he realizes that Hess the only one without one. Edit, I realize it was the Rugrats in Paris, didn't realize there were other movies. I remember watching this movie in class in 5th grade. My mom passed when I was in 2nd grade and I was crying so much they had to take me out of the classroom. My mom died in 1st grade and this movie was wicked hard for me. I still haven't really been back to Rugrats as an adult, because of the guilt I feel on Chucky's behalf all these years later. His dad was trying. Chaz is a freaking inspiration. Nervous and uncertain, but always pushing forward to be the dad he knows he has to be.